Cool, so joining me today, Paradox. How you want to be introduced as, bruh? Like the country or your name? Taiwan Williams. And of course, you guys know the great Anthony Lee. Killing classes. Today, we're just gonna sit on stage so we ain't gotta worry about the chairs today. Who was here yesterday? Did you walk away with anything that we talked about? I believe so. Who's joining us today, brand new? Was the same hands came up? You guys are here with us in spirit? I'll explain it to you. I'm gonna grab the iPad, the orange one, yes. Yesterday was a strictly, it was a lecture. Today is gonna be it's more words for you guys, but also physical examples. So we might have a little bit motion with you guys today with some music. So we got the music tunes on. Yesterday we talked about, what was it? Perspective, right? Perspective. Yes. I mentioned yesterday that they're all diseases and they should spread it like a virus. Well. Or, for those who don't like too much dark humor, you're a cure and still spread against the virus. Same purpose, different words. All it is a choice of perspective. And the whole purpose of this series is to give you another look and another angle to look at this. Bless you.
Yeah, thank you. Bless you, man. Bless you. Ooh,
to give you guys another look at issues you may be running into or things you maybe never even thought of that were issues before, and finding your originality, what originality means, I'll talk about in the next few classes always, and also to push thought, that it's okay to debate things, to question things that are being fed to you, even all the information that all the teachers give you guys throughout the week, that don't just take it because we have your trust. That it may not be something that works for you, but it works for the individual. Or it might not work for us, but it works for you, that you find it through somebody else. We want to give you guys that relationship in relation, meaning we have a connection in something, in somewhere, some form. So say like in freestyle, right? He's purely musicality. Let's just say that, right? For example, I'm purely power. He's purely just physical, whatever, and Anthony wants to be sex. That you have a connection into one of those things. Like I am a teacher, and when I do teach, I might teach something that might not relate to you, but as a teacher, I have to practice and learn how to teach in ways that may make sense for you in order for the whole class to be on one level, one subject. So one analogy that I give is the rainbow. The thing that I want to teach is the rainbow. That's the category. And this is information for those who want to be or are teachers, that it's kind of difficult sometimes to just force what it is that you do to people that don't really understand it. And if the student doesn't understand it, it's not the fault of the student all the time. It's the fault of the teacher that's not explaining correctly in ways for the student to have the opportunity to learn, to open that door for them. Because there's multiple ways to look at things. And that's the whole perspective that I said yesterday about the Rubik's Cube, that it's all mixed up and it's complex for those who weren't here. And there's mixed colors, but the whole goal is to get what? Yes, one color. And again, when I ask questions, feel free to throw answers. There's no right or wrong, unless it is right or wrong. But what was I talking about before this?
Perspective.
Yes, perspective and sex. That's what he said. And then we also talked about, what was it? The three A's, and then Yaya brought up the three B's. The three A's. Yeah, it was the 3 A's and she was at 3 B's. And then Ricky was supposed to do C's, but couldn't get that far.
Okay.
The concept was, which we'll talk about today's class, is actually about characterization, concept, and texture. And what those meanings are to you, and also the different perspectives of what those words can mean for us, so we can better explain it is what we do and try to perceive our message through our teachings to you guys. So it's be able to, so that can be received. And that's that exchange. We also get back from you guys as students that feedback through your accomplishments and your failures. And that's what a teacher's supposed to do, is to see both of those things, that it's okay to have mistakes. Nobody here wants to make mistakes, right? I'm gonna just say that. I'm gonna just assume that you guys said yes with me all together. Who here likes making mistakes? One, is that romantico? Yeah, it is, but what's up, bruh? What was that?
I like making mistakes.
Same.
Oh, we got two mics, my bad. I like making mistakes. It sounds weird to say. The reason is that you learn from mistakes, correct? And as humans, we are made to learn. And when you hesitate to make mistakes, you hinder, meaning you hold back your learning process. Now, there's unhealthy and healthy mistakes. Healthy, to show an example, would be turning on the stove, right? And accidentally putting my hand on the stove. I burned it, lick it, lesson learned. Don't do it again. Healthy mistake. What would unhealthy mistake be? Boom, doing it again. Stove, maybe two this time. Put my whole arm. Lick it, like it. Doesn't work. The lesson wasn't learned. It's an unhealthy mistake to repeat it, knowing that you already learned the first time that what? It didn't work. Like, I didn't learn from that mistake. So it's okay to make mistakes to learn, and also learn from other people's mistakes. This is why I like talking to people and also hearing stories of where they came from and why they did this and how can I surpass that and take their knowledge. I love talking to my peers. I love hearing things outside of dance in their life, because life also relates to anything that you do in your craft. So it comes back to dance no matter what. And the weird thing that I always shared before is that my passion is not dance. I don't love dance. Sounds weird, right? I don't like dance. I'm lazy as hell.
Same.
I like sleep, I like ice cream, and sometimes Netflix if I don't watch it all. And like I said yesterday, I borrow other people's Netflix because I want to pay for it. Lazy.
Damn.
That's straight up.
That
But my
is
Crunchyroll account's different. My anime cartoons, I pay for that. Reason being is, I just don't like the feeling of what I get from exerting so much of my energy, but my passion is in art. And in art, in dance there is art. Therefore, I like the art perspective of dance, and this is why I do it, because of the freedom of creativity and what I feel for art through dance. So my passion is towards art, which is why I mentioned this yesterday. Outside of dance, my passion is drawing and sculpting and making figurines and toys. If those who follow me know my work so far.
Which is really good, Lando. I never officially gave you props for your toys, but your toys are cool.
Thanks for calling them toys, because sometimes people
I meant art. Your art
No,
is,
I wasn't gonna say that. I sometimes be like,
thought
oh
they
yeah,
was
you make
toys.
dolls, right? Like, nah, I don't play with dolls, bro. Like, dolls and toys are two different things.
They kind of look like dolls, though, you know what I'm saying?
They're the same. They're the same, but it's the perspective I look at them. What's up?
Oh, nothing.
You said you play with your sister's dolls?
All the time. What?
Well, Josh said he plays with his sister's dolls all the time, so guilty. But cool. What I wanted to bring up firstly is today's, like I mentioned, it's characterizing. We talked about character yesterday and what kind of things you can pull from it to create a persona for yourself. You can have a dance persona in your freestyle, or when you battle, you have a different persona, like Yaya mentioned yesterday. For those who remember, she said you can have different characters for different purposes. And I'm sure all of us can probably agree to that we have different characters for different purposes, straight up. And it's okay to develop a character that's non-original to you, but you make it yours. And I learned a lot of this clearly through Crump, talking to Crumpers and how they bring that essence, that influence and motivation to give a show. And this is what I love about dance, is that I'm not into choreography, even though I've been doing it for years. I don't enjoy the repetitiveness of choreography because it becomes redundant and I get bored quickly. But I know there's a reason for choreography when I want to show art, that art can be a form. You can't redo a picture that's meant to be what it's supposed to look like. So I take that concept and then I can appreciate it. Therefore, when I see you guys dance or a dancer that's doing a performance, it's not the movement that they're doing, it's the essence that they're giving in their performance. That's the connection and what attracts me to watch and appreciate their art. It's not like, hey, look at me. Boom, it's like, okay, bro, I've seen the wave and the wiggle walk so many times throughout history, his story. Remember that one? Don't listen to things that might not work for you because it's just another person's story unless you can prove it, proof of choice. The other thing was texture. Texture within characterizing musicality, which I'll go over this and they can probably explain better than I can on this. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. I don't have all the answers, but I like to debate and talk about stuff. So if you do have questions towards the end of the class, which will open it up, remember, you can feel free to ask. Someone else might have the same question. You might be able to fulfill that hole that they're missing. I'm thirsty. Whatever. Dang, how'd you do that? Oh, there's? All right, cool, my bad. Switch it up. Dang, friendship. Just bring out water. Tight. Man, all right, what's up? I'm about to slang these. It's 5 cents a bottle, recycling. And then concepts, how you can bring a character out through concept as well, and I'll talk about this. What I just mentioned before, you can be influenced by people through their characterization or motivated. I'm one to get motivated, not really influenced, and I'm trying to figure out how to differentiate the two. To be influenced by someone, let's say Kev is going off, right? Crazy stuff. Boom, he throws it off, it makes you feel something, it influences you to create or sometimes maybe mimic. It's okay to copy as long as you have that goal to make something out of it and innovate. I know there's like a silent rule in dance of I don't know how long you can copy somebody before it starts becoming biting, but that's how we learn. We mimic something that's already been done and taught, and then we just try to reinvent as a creator. As long as you don't become stuck as I guess like a mimic. Yeah, don't just try to duplicating things like that. You guys have any subject on that you want to talk about?
Honestly, man, you're saying gold right now. I'm just listening like, damn. I'm like, yeah, I agree.
Word? All right, well, I'll get to stuff that's probably more personal to you guys, but so we have influence and then motivation. Motivation would get me to want to do something, not even if I'm influenced by it. So say if I hear of it, and I see maybe, and I know it's not really good to say this, but say like in the social media, branding yourself and creating a business and wanting to become something and being a backup dancer and going for the fame and the money is also a motivation to succeed. And success is a motivation. Nobody wants to fail or be a failure at something, or for me, for instance, I don't love wasting time. Nobody likes to waste time. Even if the end goal for me I don't see fruits from it. Like if I develop so much time of my craft over the years and I don't get to a point that I thought I would get to it, but I still receive something else, which is like the connection. I got to see the world. I got to experience cultures and creating what the meaning of family is through people. like family outside of my family, I would have never thought, unless I had changed my perspective and took in the risk to leave what I was being controlled to do, which is just work. You know, I was working at Apple, being a technician before YouTube even started, and it was a risk. It's a risk to just drop something that's stable in my mind, because logically, I want to be safe and secure. Nobody wants to have that unknown of failing at anything. So it was a risk in hope of pursuing something, and luckily at that time, which some of us can attest to, it's a risk to drop everything and go for your dreams and goals. And sometimes it won't happen unless you take that risk. And having that thought of the unknown is scary, but it's also important, and also becomes your story to share as motivation and influence for the next person who wants to do the same thing, which is how the generations work. In my mind, after time learning this stuff, we learn what we do to survive and live our lives to as best as we can through happiness, but also the purpose to pass it to the next generation so that our culture doesn't die. So my focus has been, of course, more education and sharing these kind of thoughts and words. Like I mentioned, a lot of people look left and I look right, up, upside down, and cross-sided. It's just, I look at things in many perspectives as possible to see if that's something truly that I want to attain or focus on. And that's something I always try to push on people, is that think about the time that you have. Like I mentioned yesterday also about how much time we have on earth. You don't know. Don't treat it like it's long and it's forever, because I swear I've seen some of you guys like yesterday and it was a year ago, and time just said boom, it's just gone, and you can't get that time back. So are you
It's whale calling.
There's a whale. Oh. Okay. That one. What was that talking about?
Yesteryear.
Yes, time. Yesteryear time. Time. Utilize. Oh, I was saying this. That the time that has passed is something that you're satisfied with, even though it was a positive or negative. Did you utilize that time that passed to the most that you wanted it to be for you within that moment? Because once that moment's gone, it's gone. And can that past be someone else's future? And as an educator, that's the focus I look at now. Is my past that's not worth anything to me now, is it worth something to someone else before they even get to that point? And throughout this week is what I want to share, just any information that I have, and also my peers who have obtained different perspectives and different information, different walks of life, different struggles, mistakes, successes, to show you who they are as a person, that there's more layers to who these people are. That yes, we have your trust and your respect being on, we earned through time and sweat and blood the honor of being on the stage to teach you guys. It's an honor. It's not something we should, be better than anybody. Is that these people have put time into their craft and sacrifice to do things, and that it's also possible for you guys to do the same. Maybe not at the same level. Everyone's different. I'm not gonna bullshit that. Maybe you might not be on this stage. Maybe it's not your purpose to do that, even though if it's your goal. But acknowledging this can help you divert and drive to a different endpoint kind of thing. That maybe I'm not supposed to be on the stage. Maybe I'm supposed to be in the crowd, touching someone next to me to help their environment by sharing this. And a good example is like through the all-style battles, some of this happened. Like surprisingly, I was lucky enough to be in one of those circles that was just awesome, the first one. And I already see your face. And then the other two circles had like issues, it was not like well, you might be able to explain it better.
What do you want me to explain?
He said, tell us
explain-
about the
He
issues.
didn't know. He wasn't there about what happened at the.
Man,
Right.
don't.
Some of them might have. Who wasn't there for the pre-selection?
Who wasn't there for the
Was not
pre-selection?
there.
Who was not there.
Okay, so this information would be good.
Man, I don't want to talk about this, but okay, cool. So we just had the pre-selections of the battles a few hours ago, right? And it was 3 ciphers, basically. Lando, Yaya, and I would stand inside of the ciphers and basically just decide who we wanted to choose for the top 8 dancers who would go through to the battles. A cipher is a space where we share movement, where we share a common idea and we try to actually build to something together. However, because of the time limit, because of everyone wanting to dance, it was not a sharing, it was, like, what were you saying about dogs?
Oh, okay. Remember, I have a little sick humor, all right?
Wait, maybe you shouldn't say that, right?
I'll say it. It felt like there was a bunch of newborn puppies
Yeah.
all trying to eat from the same bowl. You ever seen like puppies fight and they're like, and then
Yeah,
they get back
yeah,
and
literally.
they're like trying to eat. There's always like the top dog trying to eat and then the other ones kind of come in and go back and then go back for the food when the other one's not looking. That's what I felt like, what I saw.
Yeah, that is definitely what happened. But that's said in a funny way. Basically, people were cutting off each other's rounds. In my circle, at a certain point, there were 2 people pushing each other, shouting curse words. Yeah. In my circle, someone left, looked at me and was like, bro, I'm not gonna dance. I don't want to anymore. He left the floor and literally just walked out with his bag, everything, you know? Which is crazy because we're here at a camp where we have to build together. So I don't really know why you're letting me tell this again. Do you also want me to tell? Yeah, whatever. So basically, I got kind of angry at the situation, and I said something about it. Because for me, when it comes to battling and when it comes to any floor that you're on where there's other people, if you want to participate, you have to participate all the way. Which means also when you're not the one who is moving, you're gonna have to be a part of the situation because it's one movement, it's one cipher, one circle. If you break the circle is useless, basically, right? So, example, people were standing there, not looking at nobody, looking at the floor, and then as they saw the feet walk out, they would walk in. And what really pissed me off is that people were dancing, looking at the floor the whole time, which is crazy. First of all, of course, when you are at a battle or any performance or anywhere, you look at the people. You look at the judge like, hey, I'm presenting myself. But then also, you're kind of, it's not, I'm saying it in a funny way, but you're forcing everyone else to watch you in that moment. You said, I want to stand here and show myself, but then you're gonna have to show yourself to everybody and not to the freaking floor, right? So the conclusion for me was very very simple. When you participate in someone, participate with your whole body, with everything. Be there in the moment, because otherwise there was literally no reason for you to be on the floor because you didn't give us anything and didn't build up anything, basically. Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Why was I saying this again?
I wanted to know, I guess. It's a good letter.
Oh, yeah.
It was my
Oh, it was you. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm gonna get you in a second. Okay. So I'm gonna jump back a bit. I want to talk about characterizing as a persona. Persona is your personality, maybe not your original intent, but something that you create for the purpose of. And I would like to also have them share their method of their characterization in personality. So I'll start first to kind of give what I'm talking about. My natural character in dance comes from, how do I say this? Hood parties. Hood parties. It's specific. It's not necessarily at the street, it's in the hood. And as something, and that's not something I can easily explain, it's you gotta be there. It's in my essence. Like when someone says, oh, I'm gangster. Okay, about this, no gangster will say they're a gangster. No true gangster will ever put themselves out there to be seen as a gangster because they don't want to draw attention to themselves. A gangster is just a gangster. You feel it from them. One example, not saying that he is a gangster, but I feel hip hop from Wiggles.
Yeah.
If you've seen Wiggles talk and where he walks and just chills and just even chews his gum, it's so hip hop. Bro, I'm like, yo, he was in that era. He's still current. No matter what he does and no matter what time, and this is my big bro, so I'll shout out to Wiggles. But no matter how time passes through the decades, you can still see and feel the era that he was from. And he adapts. And when you adapt to something, that's his natural character. That's just him. For me, it's fun. It's fun hood parties. So I'm the little kid that will go to the big kids parties and, there's a big girl and I'm on her booty. And I'm like learning through practice. It's like street fun, and grown folks would do this with kids. They'll let them drink and have fun. You have a little kid drinking wine. He's like 5 years old having the time of his life. That was me. I'm like, yo, and you probably Taiwan also, shoot. I ain't even lie. It was all fun, and that environment helped my personality. That's something that I carry. So when I talk to you guys and I'm joking around and I'm teaching, or my routines show this essence, that power is that environment that I came from. That energy is raw and it's fun and I enjoy it. So it bleeds off of me, that energy. And I don't know if those who've been around me enough throughout the years here, but I see that now through your guys' acknowledgement that I have that. And when I think about where my personality comes from, that memory is the first thing that pops up. Those street hood parties and that fun and being that little badass when I'm supposed to be at school, but still getting good grades so I wouldn't get in trouble. To show my parents, like, yo, I got good grades, but I'm still being a badass on the times that they're not looking at me. Yeah, that's true. That's my character. That hood fun is my personality, and that's what I put into my craft. That's not something that I am all the time, but that becomes my persona when I dance. And then I also change it, like I mentioned yesterday, I become a murderer when I battle. When I battle, I'm not showing that I'm trying to kill somebody, but my intent in my dance changes where I'm just prison stabbing you. Like, yo, this is what I'm giving you and you have no choice but to take it. And look at this enjoyment. Like, that's what I want to give in my personality. And then when I'm choreographing and freestyling, it's more of, yo, I want to vibe with you, like, let's party. And that's what I love about Capella's thing too, that he wants to bring back the party stuff in these camps. Not that it's not happening, but it's a different environment when we're at the parties at night versus what we're doing in the classes. And that feeling should be something that you carry around with you all the time, that you can turn on, because it helps you grow and it helps you learn with less stress. And when you're not stressed, you're able to absorb things and break it down more. And that's just the process. So that's my personality of characterization through my craft. And I don't know who else would like to share. Boom.
Well, obviously I have two sides to me, who I am. And then there's times when I choose to be a Kinja, which is a totally different character. Being a Kinja allows me to be the superhero that I want to be if I was like a regular human being. But I think as regular human beings, like, we're not always perfect. And so, I want to put on this mask that allows me to be perfect, that allows me to be strong, a superhero. In my understanding, like, kind of like Lando, like, we like Kinjas and ninjas because they are also like assassins. We're out to, in one way, metaphorically, kill you. And obviously a lot of my persona comes from my heritage as well. I didn't grow up in the hood, but a lot of my influence comes from being an Asian American. And I say Asian American because me and most of the guys in my entire squad were born in America, but our parents weren't. They came over because of like the war. So a lot of our stories and a lot of our upbringing was unique, and it wasn't easy either. It was just a different kind of difficult. But when we bring that to the stage, we bring history, and we bring the power of that history as well into something that we're doing in an innovative way. that we're doing in our own way to express ourselves and our culture, because we're still, I think, learning about ourselves, right? An Asian American is somebody who's literally walking around the streets thinking, I don't belong in this country all the time, and people look at you different no matter what, and you don't actually know what back home is really about. So you're always just trying to learn. You're always trying to discover yourself. So I feel like I go into Kinja mode because I'm trying to learn about who I am and what I want to be. And that's my persona.
What's up, y'all?
Even that was cool.
I was thinking, I had to say what's up to not just sit here and be like, but I don't know. My character is a song. The song is my lifestyle. It's a reason why that song is on. You know what I mean? I didn't pick it just because I like it, but I felt I connected to the song, or whatever the reason is. I'm dancing to the song. Like, that's my whole character. I don't have one. I just kind of like match the music, you know what I mean? But I think that's the most important part, is not trying to, but just letting it happen, versus like saying I'm a character and then trying to be that 24/7. That's cool too. We all have different like ways of going about it, but I like to let each character be a surprise to me even, because for instance, the Beyonce thing with Bam and Hills.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah, that was hard to accomplish. Like, Bam Martin and Hills is something that's unheard of, never would be seen before.
Out of context,
Yeah.
I feel like people who are live streaming have no idea what you're talking about. So in their heads, they're like, Bam was in heels?
Right. I had to do this for Bam Martin. It was a game. Yeah. People that's watching live, don't worry. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, everything that you do, like, just don't be fake about it. Like, to me, I don't like to be fake around anyone that I'm around. Even if it's a new camp, like, I'll just go to it and just be myself. You know what I mean? So if I show up to that camp, then you'll know my character is just by off of like your vibe, or what the vibe is of that camp. But I don't have one character, two characters. I have a character of what the environment is and what the song is like happening in that moment, So it's just a fun time to just be around people, That's the best part for me.
Let me see. Okay, so what for me is very interesting is, or at least what I noticed with myself and now notice with them as well, is that when building a character, often or sometimes people choose something just because they want to choose something. Like, okay, I'm gonna be a dog. I don't know. I'll just try and do that, which is awesome. But the ones that stick with you, mostly for me, come from parts of my personality that I just expand upon a little and dig in deeper, So for instance, I used to be very much into martial arts, and you can see that back through my classes. One of my biggest inspirations is Bruce Lee, and the way I teach is actually just because of him, basically. And when I dance, sometimes I want to tap into that martial arts side of movement, but it's not because I think it's cool. It's because it's actually relates to me very much. So you might see a character, but there is how do you call that? There's a synergy, a bond, like a bond with that character, because it's just a part of myself expanded, basically. And I do have either characters or characterizations, basically. Characters is when I actually pick something and say, okay, I'm gonna be this person that does this and that and that. Even then, it's still based on myself. So for instance, let me see, I used to have, what is a good one? I'm thinking of one that I used to, I actually never gave him a name. There was a character where I would always think I was a superhero as well. And the reason for this character was because I wanted to be the superhero for my family and my friends. I was in a good place, and at a place where people could look up to me and pull themselves up on me. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, whatever. Yeah, let's just say that, shoulders on me, cool. I wanted to be that person for them consciously, as opposed to just being it. So because of that, this character built inside of me, and I decided to expand upon it and make it happen through movement as well, as opposed to just being that person when I walk around. And most of the times when I build my characters, they are always based off of an emotional expression that I feel, and I'm like, yeah, this is my mood right now. Let me expand that mood. It's the same with actors. You know, when you have method acting, they dig for something of themselves that is true, that is real, and then expand it into the situation that they are putting themselves in. And what you notice for me with all of these teachers out here is that none of them say that they're doing something fake. Of course, they'll make a character of something sometimes that they are not in everyday life, but it's always actually true to themselves. And that makes the character become real as opposed to an act, basically. Besides that, like I said, characterizations as opposed to characters is me literally just saying what is my emotion right now and how can I, it's almost the same but a little bit different, how can I expand on that, but then more as in, okay, I'm actually pissed right now. Let me just get off around pissed, but then over-exaggerate it, right? Go really deep into it so that I can actually dig out these emotions, throw them out, and then once they're out, I can let them go and just let them stay there on the dance floor. That's kind of how it works for me personally.
Before I jump to the next thing, on the subject of characterization and just the persona itself, does anybody have questions about this that they want to ask us to help you answer something that we may have not talked about? Going once, going twice, sold. No? We're okay? You have one?
Can you just tell me something about being an introvert and an extrovert as a dancer?
Say it.
Being as an introvert, as an extrovert.
Introvert.
Statement about
I'm not the best person to ask that.
Like, are you saying in terms of being an introvert person versus an extrovert person? As a dancer. Well, that's not a dance technique thing that I think that I would offer. There's no like dance advice. It's not like dance bigger or dance stronger. I mean, because if you do dance bigger or dance stronger, then it's gonna feel like you're an extrovert. But I think in order to come from an authentic place, then you need to understand not just the goal, but the outcome of why you even choose to dance. Because for me, I dance because it allows me to say things that I can't say with words sometimes. You know what I mean? And an introvert person doesn't mean that they don't have stuff to say or express. You have just as many powerful thoughts, feelings, and emotions as anybody else. And I think that if you're using dance, you're using it as like a vehicle. It's not your destination, it's how you get there. So introvert and extrovert really, I don't think negates your ability to do your craft well, but I think your craft needs to be able to let the introvert person express themselves very loudly. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Woo, I was saved on that one because I was like, I can't, I'm the worst person to ask. More so because I just don't normally care of what it is, what my intention is all I know that it's my natural instinct. It's that first thing that I feel, whether if it's introvert or extrovert. I don't try to put so much weight or focus on the reason why. I just accept it for that's what it is, and then I deal with it and figure out the solution for myself. So it's more of a, I understand what you mean, but it's, for me, it's more like a an inner thing to fight from, like an inner struggle, like a strife that you have to battle yourself with. And it's kind of a tough thing to do, to fight against yourself, that we always have that, the angel and the demon things on our shoulders, pulling ourselves one way or another. It's something you're always gonna have to deal with regardless. And it's a personal thing. We can't really tell you how to get out of it. It's just through, again, stories and the beautiful answer that Anthony gave. That advice would be to help you hit those triggers and learn to minimize the fear as much as possible. I always tell people to acknowledge that you're always going to be afraid about something, and that fear will never really leave. We're built to be fearful. We have that natural gene to feel this way. But to minimize the reason of it and the purpose of it, we cannot care about it that much. It'll always be there, but make it small as possible. And that's something that'll help build your confidence as well. So just being more confident.
I would like to think that the best way for me to minimize that fear, I understand what he's talking about, is not just to be like, I'm not scared, but it's also to focus more so on maximizing like your love. Because people are motivated by either fear or love. Those are the two things that like push us to do anything. So instead of focusing on fear, if you think about the love element, you're gonna totally push this thing down. And I think it's just holding on to that strength of perspective. Does that make sense?
Dang.
Dude's dropping
Maybe
bombs.
come sit
Oh
next
my
to
God.
me after this.
I read it in a book.
On the last subject of characterization through music, I gave anything that I try to think about, I think of it as a box. So no matter the subject is a box in my mind, and there's 6 sides to it, but I first try to look at all 4 sides, right? I want to at least break something down in 4 ways as much as possible before I even start to bend time and the essence itself to look at the top or the bottom. So yesterday I gave the idea of breaking down musicality into character. So it was music, right? Music, we have a track. And the 4 things I mentioned, I don't know, maybe some people wrote it down yesterday, was the character in music is a genre. You have one thing to pull from. These are 4 things that I pull from in music that helps me build a persona or a character into the style that I want to share in my, let's say, choreography. We're talking about choreography or freestyle. Dance itself, whatever. Genre is one character that you can pull from. The style and feeling of the music, the way it's built, from country to hip hop to opera to the Caribbean style music, dance hall. That genre can give you a feeling to create a character within that. The second thing I pull from is the artist on the track. The style of lyricism that they are, their history of who they are and what they add to it, the specific sound that they rap or talk in, to know that if you didn't know who was on the track, you would know by hearing their voice of if it was Drake or A$AP Ferg or Ludacris. They have a certain personality to them, which is also a character you can pull from. That's option 2 for me. Option 3 is the DJ, the producer. Swizzy on the beat, Mustard on the beat. They all have a specific sound and style of producing music that's their character into that platform. That's another style of characterization you can pull from. The last thing, what did I mention last time? Yes, what'd you say? Concept of character, meaning I'm going to be something that's not natural to me, but I know the concept of it, but I can characterize that into my dance. So like he said earlier that I can be a superhero, and that's the character that I want to start with, and that's what I'm going to be within this whole track. That I need to emulate what it is in my mind, what kind of superhero that I want to be, that whatever that I'm showing, that whatever that I'm creating shows that superhero character, and that's that concept as well. So those characterizations, 4, is what I try to pull from. Then once you get past all this, it's the top and the bottom can be anything that you want to be. It can be the top is your extrovert version of it, or the bottom could be your introvert. Like it depends on who it is as you as a person. I always say those looks on the top and bottom is just you. The positive part of you or the negative part of you within those characterizations. The positive part for me would be the fun part of it. The negative part for me, and I don't mean negative as in bad, will be that murderer intent in me when I want to battle. It's that two versions of me within that character set. That's that box I always try to create and think in. Did I say that right? Is that cool? Okay. They're like, yeah, so 1 + 1. Yeah. Do you guys want to add anything to that? Are you guys cool?
Are you gonna like stop about characters right now? Like,
We can. I can move on. Unless you wanna
was
add
there, was there
anything
something that I wanted to say about characters? Let me see. I think I wrote something down actually.
less. That well.
Perfect. Hey, where is it? Shit.
Baby, well.
Baby.
I forgot. I forgot. I'm sorry.
Ah, he forgot.
Yeah. I had something. I was like, oh yeah. No.
Okay. I wanted to give you guys another perspective on texture. And that's something people in this generation right now, they can imitate the texture, but not truly feel or know the levels of depth of that texture. And it's a falsification. Yes, you can succeed in mimicking this, looking that way, but not actually have that energy to know that it's actually real. Like it can look fake still. And I know maybe a lot of you guys know a lot of artists or teachers that do this, that they can emulate a style because it's a new trend or the new hype thing to do, but it's not really in them because they're just falling in line with the rest of the sheep kind of thing. And I said, I'll say this bluntly to everyone's at fault for this. Like even myself, I mentioned before where I will use trendy moves for the sake of my students because it's the in thing to do, but in truth, it's not something I would rely on. So I would never want to rely on something that's not really my own or my original intent to put that in my, let's say, choreography. So we have, what did I mention yesterday? We did the floss. I don't even know the damn names of how much I don't care about them. I'll throw the floss in because, yeah, it's fun, goofy, and people like to do it. And when they do it and everyone else knows it, they have a relation. Therefore, I'll put it into my class for that reason, that it connects people and that they know something collectively to do together. But I would never do the floss to replace or fill in a piece of my choreography that I had nothing for, just to get to another point. So I have these 4 8 counts that I really want to get to, and I choreograph first, but I have nothing for the first 8 count, so I'm going to do the floss. Hell no. I'm not going to rely on something just to fill in to get to another point. I find that as a crutch and a weakness. Personally, that's not something that you may feel, but for me, that's how I look at it as. I don't want to rely on something that's not original to me just to get somewhere else higher as a stepping stool. I don't want to rely on those kind of trends, but it is fun to do to connect.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Yeah, because you're talking about texture, and I was just wanted to know what your or all of yours definition of texture actually is. Because what I have in my head when I think of texture does not really align with what you're talking about. Not that that is bad, but that's because words have different meanings in different places. Every country has a different meaning for a word. I can say concepts, and funny enough, in the Netherlands and in Europe, a lot of places, concepts means waves, tuts, traces, which in the US actually is not a concept. It's a technique, but not a concept, for instance, right? So I would like to know what a texture actually means in your perspective.
I was going to jump to that.
Oh, sorry.
So what he questioned on right now is something I'll jump to right now. But I was giving an example of that's okay. It's perfect. I'm glad that your mind is here because, again, like I said, he's a mathematician to me, and it's so calculated that it makes sense. So it helps you guys to regulate your mind as well, to find clarity. So thank you, bro. On the subject on texture, I'll give another analogy. I'm going to use the box thing again. The subject is a peanut, okay? Everyone knows what a peanut is, right? Yes? There we go, we're all here. The subject is peanut, all right? The textures of a peanut, I want to break it down in 4 ways. On the subject on what you mentioned, the first texture I would look at a peanut as would be the crunchiness of it, the density, right? When you put a peanut in your mouth, you crunch it, it's a form of texture. That's one thing that I look at. Then I'm gonna flip it. As I crunch, I'm gonna create a powder. It becomes a different texture. It's become smoother and granulated, right? Crushed peanuts you put on your Thai food. It becomes another texture. I flip that box again. Peanut oil. You can extract the essence of the peanut for another texture. Now it is a liquid of a sort, and it has a certain texture. I flip that box again. I crush it. That oil blends. I create butter from it, which is peanut butter. Now it's smooth. You see what I did with the peanut? I created 4 different textures out of one product, meaning I wasn't just stuck to one thing. I was able to perceive it as something else in order to have the options to do more with that one thing. And that one thing could be one move. One move with the musicality can add different textures to it, which these gentlemen have shown over the years, and more teachers here can do the same move, but with different textures because they have a different perspective on it. Then, the top of the box, the positive, would be the benefits of a peanut. What a peanut can do for your health, right? That's how I look at it. The bottom part of it, the negative, would be the allergic reaction to a peanut. Anyone have peanut allergies here? Then you guys know what the hell I'm talking about. Can help or kill, basically. So those are like the subjects that I can get to, top and bottom, but the texture of that product is what I wanted to break down. So I hope, does that clarify a little bit on texture?
Yeah, it does. I have the same perspective, so.
I noticed that. That's why
Phew.
we're friends, dude.
Phew! I thought, wait, did I learn it wrong?
Nah.
Are we talking about something completely else? Oh, snap. But yeah, that's it. Okay, nice.
Talking about nuts.
Nuts, bro. Yeah, I also broke it down into something like that, but I've never gone as far as saying the states of what it could do to you as a person. For me, it was just the solid liquids and the states of matter, right? Ice, water, mist, and then condense. And the other one, I don't know what the name is because you have vapor, something like that. And to me, it's the same thing when you have one substance, but then that substance can form into different states of matter because of whatever, you know. So yeah, it's kind of the same. Hell yeah.
Was that cool? Did that kind of open up something, hopefully?
I always show people like this. It's such an easy way to show it. Actually, I want to do it with him though. You can wave, right, bro?
Okay.
Can you do a wave for me? Thinking about water. Just thinking about water. Ha. Can you do a wave for me thinking about ice? Hey, ooh. And gas. Ah. You see, it's the same. Thank you. It's the same move.
So cool.
But hell yeah. Oh, let's continue. No, same thing, same exact movement, but a different texture, right? Yeah, to me that's the easiest way because a wave is so clear, everyone can understand it for some reason. So yeah, okay.
And that's just one starting point. Then you can flip it upside down, or you can do it forward. Like there's so much that category can spread out for you to change one wave into many options. So you can that's why I never really understood choreographers' block when there should be a plethora of movement for them to pull from. When they say, I can't choreograph right now, or I don't feel I can dance right now. It's the mind. It's your mind that's holding you back. Your body already knows the information. You guys are already masters at movement. Whether you're learning about dance, you may not feel that you're a master at something. You walk different than I do. Therefore, you're a master at that walk. And if you just apply that back into anything in your craft, that's the way you should probably think to unlock new triggers, to open those doors to learn many other things. It'll make it easier for you when you think the way that you already think into that craft, instead of trying to think the way I think into your own craft or my craft when we teach you routines. That's why I always try to influence freedom of thought and style. Like, yes, I'm teaching a routine, but feel free to feel it the way you want to feel it. As long as we're all on beat and move in a certain way, I keep that party mentality. My other analogy is a school of fish. We all know school of fish? They all swim, right? They all swim different ways, and when one turns, boom, they all turn. We all seen this before? They turn in one motion together, but they still have an original motion. And this is the way I kind of feel like when I do choreography or dance, is that when a teacher wants you to do it a certain way, okay, yes, they're the sensei, and that's the goal of what they want to teach. Therefore, I need to be disciplined and do what they say. But then you also have teachers like myself and other folks where we want you just to enjoy the motion and the feeling and the environment and music, to feel more versus perfecting what my body has developed over time. My body is not your body. My body, oh, nobody, your body, man. Is that cool? All right. Is there any questions, or you got something more?
Yeah, you just touched on something else, because you was talking about how you could change the perspective with variations and whatever. So I actually have a list that I always use when it comes to training. I kind of forgot about the list now because I haven't used it for a long time. So I'm gonna share it with you guys. But if I forgot something, sorry about that. So when I freestyle, first I have a seed. I have something that I want to use. I have a basic. Let's say it's a bounce. Now, everyone can do the same bounce. So everyone in that moment looks alike. I need to do something in order to change my way of using the bounce so that it becomes personal, right? So that I can variate with it and hopefully make that one single bounce become something huge, something amazing that I could just dance with forever, right? And what I have is this little set of variations that I can add to movements so that I can practice one thing in multiple ways and expand upon it so that that one thing can be something more, basically. It's called the Variate 8 variations, but honestly, I don't think I have 8 now. I think I have more. So first one is level. I personally, man, this has been a long time. How many? Did I? Wow, really? I didn't know. Okay, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me see. 5, 6. Okay, yeah. So I will write down for myself levels, and I'll write down 6 levels, and I'll take the bounce or whatever step or whatever wave and practice it in the 6 different levels. So that way I have a huge amount of information that I can create. Next is angle. Angle meaning 360 degrees right here, right? So not right here, that's another one, that's direction. 360 degrees in this way, right? So I can say 90, I can say 45, I can say I don't know what, something, right? And because of that, if I change between those, I can create more different shapes. Level, angle, direction, which is 360 this way. And with just these 3 already, there's so much you can do. If I take a wave, implement it here, and then exit it maybe down there, and then say, okay, now I'm gonna change my level to grab the wave back from down there. All I did was use these 3. I didn't even think about anything creative. I just mixed it up, came there, boom, came back down, and we got something new, right? Direction, left, right. Okay, left, right is kind of weird to explain. I practice everything both-legged, right leg, left leg, separate, because this is a completely different world, right? If I want to practice, for instance, my bounce, and I do it on just one leg, it's a completely different technique than what I can do with both. So expanding on left, right, and them together creates, for me, in my head, 3 times as much as movement as I would have if I would just practice it normally. And that's, for me, the joy of it, having more options so that my body can just go and be like, okay, I got all this, figure it out, have fun, search. Then I have the 3 energy changes, which is speed, power, size, and this is something we've practiced here for a long time. Speed, power, size, slow, fast, weak, strong, small, big, speaks for itself, small, big, slow, fast, and so on. Then I have passive, active, and that's kind of hard to explain because for me, passive active means I am the one who initiates the movement or the movement guides me, right? So for instance, if I practice my grooves, I can say I push back, or I can say my head falls back into the groove, as opposed to me really forcefully pushing it backwards. And that can happen in any movement type. I think there was more, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I feel good. That's all 8 of them. Nah, I know I forgot some and I mixed it up, but these are a few that I use myself to change movement so that if I even get one move, you could have taught me just to wave. I could have at least spent like a week on just waving to learn how I use them in these varied ways. And that way it's really easy to practice because you know exactly what you got to do. You just, okay, today we're doing this, and tomorrow this, and then this, and then this. Because practicing smart is awesome. It's really awesome to know exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna just not hijack the rest of it. I'm gonna just leave it there.
It's okay. And that there should be no excuse to your creation. You should have a lot of options to create something. That becomes your arsenal. And as a battle person, you want to have as much weapons as possible going into that battle. And those methods of the 8 that he mentioned, which I agree on, builds your arsenal and your muscle memory for movement. And that's something you want to build. You want to be able to open up that, oh, he's got a gun, I'm going to bring a rocket launcher. You want to have those options of weaponry with you, inside and outside. I always keep my core as my body, but my weapons are my extension of myself, which is what he explained. Extension of mind, also your body parts within that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, you waving? Oh, dude, cool. On top of that subject, I wanted to also talk about, real briefly, input and output.
Mm-hmm.
It's the intent and the energy behind it. It's like you say, he can do smooth and he can do quick, but also you can do smooth with stress, and you can be smooth with not stress. Relaxation, right? Yeah, is that okay? I know we're giving a lot of information for you guys, but this is what we want to do to push the brain as well as the physical part, because that's what the classes will do. They'll push you mentally, but more so physically, but also want to inspire you guys to break what it is that you already know, to cause your brain to expand more because it's built and it's hungry to want to expand. It wants to absorb as much as possible, and you just strengthen that muscle. Input and output, I'll give another example. We'll use the hand, right? 3, I feel like I normally try to say 4, but I feel like there's only 3, and maybe they might be able to click a 4th or 5th or 6th. But the intent of my hand, if you hold your hand out in front of you guys, try it right now. And you close it, where do you feel the energy at? Where? Inside? Inside. The term would be squeeze. It's a squeeze, right? Okay. Another one would be this, when you shake someone's hand. Where do you feel the energy, the tension in your hand at? On the outside. Yes? You feel it? That would be a grip. The muscle change, the intent changes. The last one would be a point perspective. If you put all your pressure in the front of your fingers, where do you feel the tension at? There should be 2 places you feel it at. You can yell it out, go ahead, you can tell me. Inside and the point. That's a pinch. One purpose, different intent. The output, pinch, squeeze, grip. That's just one way to look at the input and output of your energy that you can then add layers on top of your characterization, which then you can add layers on top of your texture, and then you can add that more layers to your concept. So there's so many, it's a lot, and it's something we want to share that we, through time, have learned this to make this a natural thing for us, that we don't have to stress and think so much about it. But before this, there was a point in time that started when these lines started spreading out, like the veins in your body. Like, you guys know veins? Your blood flow. We can't see them. Maybe you can see a little bit when you get older. But they all have a purpose, and they all have a point of origin, which is your spine. All your nerves eventually connect to your spine or connect to another nerve. And these all function for our bodies to work. So that function would be your reasoning of wanting to create, and that work is your craft. So if we're talking like choreography, that's the craft that you want to share, but that point of origin has so many options to get to your end goal. So you should have a lot of information from that one start point to not get stuck. You shouldn't ever feel like you're getting stuck by something. It's okay to go back a bit, to find a new way to go around the solution. Like when I tell someone to work through a problem, it's not just to go directly at it, get stuck, and then just stop and go back. It's, if we use the 360, the rule, you go forward, you can work around the problem. You can work under it, over it, 45, this way. Like you don't have to stop at one point just because it feels like you need to stop at something, that you're being forced to. You only force yourself to stop. You have the power to kick that shit out the way and then just push forward to your end goal and then see why, and also to remember why that was an issue, because maybe it wasn't a big issue for you at all, really. It just seemed that way at that moment because you were stressed throughout your day, your girlfriend's mad at you, like there's other life reasonings that happens to you that causes you to be stuck about something that you may not know about or acknowledge. It's not just because, I can't choreograph today. It's like maybe there's something wrong with your day and you need to just go chill out and have an ice cream and watch old people talk at the park. Sounds funny, but I do that. I've done it before. I'll just go to the park when I'm not feeling well and I'll just watch life, straight up. I'll see someone that's chilling, playing checkers by themselves, and I'll just sit with them and talk and see what information I can get from them through their life. Especially the elderly. When they have someone who's experienced more than me and lived longer than me, I don't have no problem wanting to talk to them because there's a story that they can share to me that I have not experienced in their time because they came from a different past and era that I can learn from that I may be able to benefit in my day, to help me think like, you know what, my life is not as bad as I thought it should be. It's not, I can make it much better than it is right now if I just change my way of thinking, change the way that my perspective of things. And that's, again, another thing I wanted to share that, again, these men can probably attest to is that we all come from different struggles and stresses. Everyone, I always hear, like when I hear an artist or a famous person saying like, yeah, man, like I came from this and I had the struggles, it's real hard for me and blah, blah, yada, 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 yada. I'm like, bruh, everyone has the same damn struggles. Like you ain't nothing new in my mind. Not that devalues where they came from, but it doesn't say that makes them anything more special than the next person, that you also have a different struggle, whether you've come from an Asian descent and you hear those stories about how they stress, education to have certain types of jobs, even though that might not be their passion. I know some of you guys might have that same damn story, right? That your parents tell you to do something and be better for yourself, and you're like, you know what, but I like twerking, so I'm gonna go twerk class and do this passion of mine of shaking my booty, like, I don't know. And they're not gonna accept that, and you shouldn't feel bad to be held back on that too. But to also be smart about your movement, your direction that you wanna do, that you don't just drop everything to pursue something without a backup plan. That's another thing that I wanted to share here, that it's smarter right now to have a backup plan because the business that we're in, if you're trying to do what we're doing now, everybody's doing it and it's easier now to do it. So it makes it harder to find originality because it's easier to mimic someone else and become a cheaper version of someone else to succeed. And I've seen this a lot at events where they might not get, this A+ person, but there's a copycat of them who's a B, who's cheaper, and they'll get this person to be them because all they did was copy that person. So it's really easy to sell fakeness versus wanting to be around something that's original. And there's a lack of that. That's why you don't hear, or I don't see a lot of OGs right now. And there's two reasons for this. I don't see a lot of OGs, originators of dance, or innovators of dance, at many camps right now because of two things. One, they don't really speak up anymore. They feel like, well, I ain't gotta say nothing, they should know who I am, kind of attitude. And I'm like, no, the world keeps turning, bro. If you don't say nothing, the world's gonna keep passing you by. Time keeps going. And this is why I love people like Wiggles and Link, and they're active still, you know? They're active into our culture, and as the world turns, they're right there with us. They're not gonna change, but they're with us, you know? The other part is that it's a business also. Like the business now is something that you can sell. It's something that you want to feed the audience of obtaining, which is now social media fame. What else is there besides fame? The money. Yeah, straight up, he said the bitches, straight up. Sex sells, like there's the market in that too. We can't be blind about that. And other selfish goals. Like it's okay to be selfish in obtaining what you want to do, but if that becomes your only outlook on life, you're only in it to win it for yourself. And no one's really gonna enjoy that energy around you when you just don't want to be there. I've seen this from other teachers too. Like they'll go to events and they just don't want to be around people. They just want to be who they are, turn on, then turn off, and then just dip. When, you know, it should be more about sharing who we are with you guys and seeing that, hey, how I am on the videos is not really how I am in person. Like, I'm just like you. I can bleed like you, unless I'm in my superhero persona dancing, then I don't bleed. Does that clarify anything for you guys today? If anyone had any problems with these kind of subjects, I hope that we shared our perspective on these things and that we clarified anything that was restricting you before. And as these days go by, I want to keep unlocking, I want to keep giving you guys the keys to unlock your own doors. We can't do that for you. We can show you by example, but we can't actually tell you how to do things because it is your life. You're in control of you. It's your option to analyze this stuff. Like I mentioned yesterday, I forgot the 3 B's. She said breaking, bending, and blending, or building, or booty, or booty. Man, I don't know. Nah, I feel like twerking. I'm just saying. But yeah. And I'm gonna stop that subject today of characterizing texture and concept, but I'll go over concept again later on more when we start doing more dancing. So I know these first few lectures are more just talk, but throughout the week, we're also gonna be doing some dancing too. So expect tomorrow to be a little more motion. I wanna be able to show you guys the example of proof that what I'm saying has proof of it too. And also by taking Kevin's program, what he mentioned earlier, what is it? Yeah, go ahead. No, I'm promoting it also, it's my friend. That he proves by example his format works by example. You watch him dance, you watch him freestyle and joke around, what he teaches you by example works because he's proof of it, right? Right? Yeah. Right? Tight.
I just want to add, because I probably won't be joining in these other panels, these SOSs that Lando's doing, but I gotta admit that I find, in terms of the value of having these kinds of conversations, I'd rather talk about this like this than take another 10 classes. And that's just where I'm at in my life. Because when I'm taking classes and I'm learning from people, it's phenomenal, but I'm learning from people. And when I'm talking, I'm discovering for myself. You know what I'm saying? And this will be always the most important thing that actually projects what you're doing it for. So even though some of it is complex, Lando says he's gonna go to the park and he's gonna choose to talk to the old people. No offense, Lando's the old guy now. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you think he's talking about all this? And why do you think he has this knowledge? And why do you think all of us are sitting here, myself included, just paying attention? Because I'm believing in something that he's experienced, you know what I mean, that I totally still want to discover for myself, and I believe in all of it. So I just want you to know, of course, we're not up and moving and partying and stuff, but everything that has been spoken today is some sort of gold for you. Not all of it's gold, but one thing can unlock and change everything for you. So when he says giving you the keys, I really believe there's a lot of keys on the tables today, and I'm just thankful that camps like this provide knowledge and wisdom like this. So I'll give it up to Lando one time, guys.
Yeah. All right, this old man says we can close it out. We're cool. Enjoy the rest of you guys' day, and we'll see you guys at the parties. Fair Play 2019. Take what we say, use it, abuse it, make something out of yourself, become version 2.0, and eat food.
He kicked you in front of the bus.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, G.
Hey, you already know. We had to end it on a high.
And I ain't old.
Hey, good shit, man. I wrote down what you were saying. I loved it.
Same. What you said about the introvert, I was like, yes. Because I was in the same spot as him, like,